My HOA treasurer kept charging her Tesla on my private solar port, so I caught her on camera. I spent 2 years and about 30 grand building my off-grid solar setup with my own hands. I'm an electrical engineer, so this was my dream project, not just some hobby. I wanted energy independence, and I wanted it done right. The system powered my house, my workshop, and one outdoor charging port on my driveway wall. It sat on my driveway wall behind a small gate with a lock and a clear private power port sign. Then Karen noticed it. Karen was the HOA treasurer, which she treated like she was the mayor, police, and judge all at once. When I installed my panels, she tried to cite me for visual disharmony. I showed her city permits and told her my system was legal and private. She smiled that tight smile and said, "We'll see." A few weeks later, I found out what she meant. At 2 a.m., my surge alarm blasted through the house and woke me up. I ran outside in socks and found Karen's white Tesla plugged into my outdoor port. She was standing there in a robe with her arms folded like she belonged there. I said, "Why is your car plugged into my system?" She looked annoyed that I was even asking and said my charger was outside, unused, and part of the community view, so it was basically shared. I told her that was not how private property worked. She rolled her eyes and said I should be happy she was using clean energy. I unplugged her car and told her if she touched my system again, I'd call the police. She drove off like I was the rude one. I checked my logs after that and saw a bigger problem. She hadn't started that night. She'd been plugging in for weeks, usually after midnight, and leaving before sunrise. My battery records and camera footage matched almost perfectly. On 2 nights, she drained enough power that my backup reserve dropped below the level I keep for storms. I printed the dates, times, and estimated costs and took it to her house the next morning. I kept it simple and calm. Pay me part of what you used, stop doing it, and we move on. She laughed in my face and said, "I'm not paying you for sunlight." Then she shut the door. 3 days later, I got an HOA violation notice in my mailbox. She accused me of hoarding renewable energy in an exclusionary manner and blocking board access to exterior utility infrastructure. That was nonsense, and she knew it. I emailed the board copies of my permits and a short explanation. No one answered. That same week, my alarm went off again, but she was gone before I got outside, so I stopped chasing her and started documenting everything. I added another camera angle and logged every event. I also put a bigger sign on the gate. Private grid, no trespassing, do not connect. The next morning, the sign was bent backward. I straightened it, took photos, and saved those too. By then, I had enough for theft and trespassing, but I wanted one clean, undeniable moment, with warnings visible, and the board unable to pretend they didn't understand. So I built a decoy outlet box that looked exactly like my real charging point, and mounted it right next to the original. The real port stayed behind a locking cover. The decoy was on a protected test circuit, with an instant cutoff and a loud alarm. It would not hurt anyone, but it would shut down fast and flag the event on camera. I labeled both boxes, including one bright yellow sticker that said, "Private test port, do not use." Saturday at 11:40 p.m., my console pinged. I opened the live feed, and there she was in pajama pants and a hoodie, glancing around my driveway. She read the signs, actually leaned in to look at the yellow sticker, then smirked and plugged into the decoy anyway. 10 seconds later, the cutoff snapped. The alarm blasted, and a bright fault flash popped inside the protected box window. Karen screamed and jumped backwards so fast she fell on the grass. She scrambled up, looked at the signs, looked at the camera, and yanked the cord out like she could erase what happened. The next morning, she pounded on my door with 2 HOA board members behind her. Her portable charging adapter was blackened at the plug end and hanging from her fingers. Karen started yelling before I even said hello, saying I sabotaged her car and set a trap. Leonard, one of the board guys, looked nervous and said they just wanted to understand the situation. I went inside and came back with a folder, my laptop, and printed stills from the camera. I showed the timestamps, the warnings, the bent sign, the prior nights, and the HOA complaint she filed to justify taking my power. Then I played the clip of her reading the yellow sticker and plugging in anyway. Karen stopped talking. Leonard stared at the screen, then at the sign in the screenshot, then back at her. I said, "Theft is still theft, even if you're on the board." Karen opened her mouth, looked at both board members, and realized she'd just brought witnesses to her own confession. Now the HOA board is saying I set her up. Was I wrong for that?